Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Business of Property. I'm your host, Cheryl Leong from Property Development Australia. So every week as well, every day, we interview superstar guests in the property development space that share their expertise, their deals, and their stories to help empower, build, and grow our community of property developers. So, hello, Facebook land, YouTube, and LinkedIn all across Australia and across the globe as well, because I do know we have a few guests from overseas that listen in. Give me a shout out if you're here with us today in the comments below. It'll be great to have a chat with you. And so today we have with us on the business of property. Hello, Subod, how are you? A data goodness, I'm having one of those days. Data analytics specialist turned property investor. Gilbert Melgar, who is our guest today, through his research and learning, has come up with a solution which mainly wasn't just for himself, but he saw this need to help people identify locations and suburbs which were great places for cash flow and investments, and has come up with this amazing tool called Suburbs Finder. And so today we're going to be talking about how to use Suburbs Finder to help you find the best suburbs to buy investment properties. So, Gilbert, come on down to join me today on the business of property.
Good evening, Cheryl. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening,
Hello, hello.
guys.
Good to see you. And this is not the first time you've been on the business of property, Gilbert. I'm glad. I think it's been about a year since you've been here.
Yes, that was more than a year ago. Yeah.
Excellent. And the reason why, I mean, just with any sort of software, Gilbert, is that there's been an evolution in your software. I remember, when we had to play around with it before, we knew it was a great product, but the great thing was that you took on board people's feedback, your users' feedback, and have, you know, created an even better product and offering that's serving investors and developers really well. So I'm really excited to see sort of the upgraded version of Suburbs Finder. But let's find out a little bit about you. So I know you've got a bit of a slide to share. So let's get to know Gilbert a little bit better and what Suburbs Finder is about.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let me just share my screen. Yeah. There you go. So, so by on a corporate world, I've been doing search engine optimization, search engine marketing, and web data analytics since 2004. So I'm hired by companies who wants to rank on Google search and pay per click marketing in to make their website rank number one in Google, right? And for to run their pay per click marketing site and to create dashboards by observing what are the people are clicking when they get to the website.
Hmm.
So that's what I've been doing since 2004 up to now. Yeah. So 2008, focused on web data analytics using different softwares like Google products, Google Analytics, Data Studio, Tag Manager, and Google Optimize. 2011, I got married and moved to Sydney here because originally I'm from Manila, Philippines. Yeah. And now I'm a father of three beautiful young girls. So their ages 8, 6, and 2.
Oh
So,
my goodness. You're a
so
busy man.
yep, yep.
Yep.
And 2016, as we started our investment property journey, and now we were able to acquire. We acquired total of 5 properties. So we've
Mm,
done renovation to uplift our property value and increase rental yield. And now we're starting a property development journey.
fantastic. And what was it that made you, obviously you're very data driven from your background and technologically savvy as well. What was it that triggered you to think, hey, there's a bit of a problem? Were you experiencing a problem in your search, which sort of fueled your need to find something better?
Well, I've used a lot of different tools, and all of them are really good in terms of specific task, right? But I've never come across on a platform that provides you all the information in one table that will let you customize all the data the way you search. Right?
Hmm.
So 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 coming from a digital analytics and web analytics background, I just replaced all the data or the way I collect data. I just replace it with real estate data, and yeah, that's how it helped me and my wife able to figure out, what are the best places to
Mm.
buy properties based on our goals, based on our financial capabilities.
And I
So
like how you've
yeah,
mentioned that based on your goals, because you had an idea of what it sounds like you had an idea of your strategy of how to
yeah,
what you
because
wanted to achieve.
because that's the thing. Different investors has their own different end goals, right?
Mm.
So that's the reason why we created this, so that it's fully customizable and flexible enough to cater to different needs and goals of different people or different property investors.
Yeah.
So 2020, that's where when Suburbs Finder was born.
Mm. And when you started out in your investment journey, can you sort of give us a high level idea of what was your goal and the strategy that you took?
So our goal is, we want to have at least two or three, right? But the
Mm.
main thing is we need to get the first one right. The first
Yeah.
one uh, should be able to help us acquire our second one,
Mm.
right? Because yeah, and also my wife's profession is an accountant, so it helped a lot in terms of numbers.
Yeah. Excellent.
Aside from getting audited randomly every month. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and then yeah, it continued that our first one enabled us, help us to acquire the second one, and then those two help us acquire the third one,
Mm.
and then other than that, so I educated myself, attended different real estate courses or training courses from different property educators. So
Mm.
yeah, I just took all the little bits and pieces that I think will work for me, and yeah, with that, we're now able to reach up to five.
Fantastic. All right,
Yeah.
we've got a question here from Subor who says, for someone who's, let's say, 24 years old and wants to start real estate investment, what could be his or her goals? And how does Suburb Finder assist in starting these steps?
What
That's a really interesting one. What are your thoughts? And I guess, Subor, it does come down. I'll sort of share my thoughts, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, Gilbert. It really will come down to what the goals are for the 24-year-old. What does the
yeah.
24-year-old want? Like, do they want to be able to earn enough passive income from property so that they can ultimately go and do whatever they want, um, travel the world, do philanthropy work or whatever? Or do they want to, um, uh, so cash flow may be a big factor in that, or they say, no, I'm happy to do whatever, be an engineer for the next 10 years, in the meantime grow my portfolio. And so I think, like you said there, it's everyone's going to have their own individual goals, but being clear and then maybe working with someone to determine what that strategy is to get to the goals. Yeah. Um, so my son has a good job. I would definitely say utilize that income that he has. And if he's happy to be in that job for a while, leverage that income and then go, but wants to create a portfolio. Yeah, and that could be a mix, a diversified portfolio of small scale developments, maybe um, capital growth, and then another one might be multiple income, high yielding properties. Um,
True, true.
and and so how can we then use that? Tell us a bit more about Suburbs Finder, and then you can show us how we can identify those sorts of different types of property.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, to add to that, being a starting on the 24 at a very young age, 24-year-old, that's really good because you have an advantage, which is time,
Mm,
right? So
mm,
you have lots of time to get educated and to learn more, so that when you purchase your first investment property, whatever goal would that be, either, as you said, either cash flow, right, or
mm,
growth. um, Definitely you're gonna have a better decision.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so the reason why I created the Suburbs Finder is, we want to solve the problem of spending a lot of time researching and figuring out, how to gather all of those information from different sources and putting all of them into one table,
Mm,
making it meaningful and easy to understand, right? Because when we started during that time, um, most common question is, where do we buy, right?
yes.
Yeah. So you attend a lot of different real estate courses. It's all of them are very useful and insightful. But at the end of the day, um, when you ask them, where should I buy, where should I start looking, what they'll tell you is, do your own research, right?
Mm, mm,
Which is true. That's how it is. So, and research takes a lot of time. So that's what we're trying to aim, because us property investors, time is money, right?
mm, mm,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So in a nutshell, Suburbs Finder lets you filter 15,000 suburbs, right? By applying different filters, and then once you narrow down those suburbs, you can compare those suburbs side by side against each other. Right? And then once you've identified which area you should be buying, you can then compare up to five properties or even 10 properties, by running feasibilities at the same time.
mm,
So, by then, you more or less you have an idea which property would be the best, to that will provide you better results to reach your end goal. Right? So, this is just an idea. So, so in here, so let's say we're aiming for average for growth, and then this is our budget for 400 to 500 grand, but we want a rental yield as well, 5% and above, with a low vacancy rate. So
mm.
this is what we're looking for, right? This sweet spot, or that area that has everything, right?
So
So using Suburbs Find,
is this your sort of strategy here, or is this
well,
an
this
example
is
strategy?
one,
Yes.
right? This is one, yeah, this is one. So as I, as I learned, kept myself educated,
Educated.
and over time, I learned a lot of strategies. So you can implement different strategies,
Thank.
and then
Sabert's
so
asking, sorry, if you can ask for
yeah,
price range as well. Yes. So you can. I think we're
yeah,
getting to that. to that part of playing around with the software now.
So this is the filter that you can use in trimming down those suburbs, right? So in our example, we wanted 400 to between 400 to 500 rental yield of at least 5% and growth that has between 4 to 8% and a vacancy rate, right? So applying all those requirements, and then in in seconds you're able to trim down uh, 13 out of 15,000 suburbs that matches your criteria right away.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it also talks about the population. So you can even filter by population, and you might
Yep.
say, I don't want a teeny tiny little town. I want to make sure that there's at least 2,000 people, or
Yep.
whatever that
Yep.
might be.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. So everyone's going to Tasmania now.
Yep. So I
So
guess
let's have a
let's
play
jump
with the
in.
software. Yeah, this is
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
I'm
All
excited.
right.
I love a bit of software. Subodh is a techie person as well, so he's very keen
Mhm.
to ask these sorts of questions. Um,
Yep. Right. So when you log in, so this is the main dashboard of Suburbs Finder, right?
mm,
So as I said, you'll be presented of right away of 15,279 suburbs so for the whole Australia. So
hmm
all the filters in here are grouped into location, supply, demand, performance, performance change, and demographics, right? So for that one, for the example that we did is, um, let me just adjust this. What we did is, what median, what price range do you want, Cheryl?
Ooh, price range. Okay, let's say 4 to 600.
Okay, 4 to 600, right?
I like
So
this. So we're
yep,
doing
and
a live demo of this,
yep.
and we're gonna
As
find our next purchase.
as you can see, you from 15,000 suburb, you're already down to 1,192, right?
Mm.
Right.
So then you can
So
filter the
yep,
location and the state.
yep. So under location, let's just open that. So which state do you want?
Let's go to Queensland like everyone
All right,
else.
let's go to Queensland like everyone else. There you go. So now you have 307, right?
Yep.
So let's say we want a rental yield of, we're going cash flow, right? So
Mm.
let's put the cash flow to maximum. Let's say minimum of 5%, right? So as you can see, as I move the filter,
Yes.
um, the list of suburbs gets filtered in real time. So you're down to 52, right?
Mm.
Right. So let me just pin this. So it has a feature of pin. So just like an Excel sheet, you can pin it to the left.
Fix the
Yep.
column.
Yep. You can fix the column.
We've got a question here. What's the name of the software, please? And I'll put it here because it's called www called suburbsfinder.com.au.
Yep.
Here we
And
go.
then next is, let's say, we want, at least below 3% vacancy rate, right? So now you have 25.
Hmm.
So let me just close that. So we can also hide the columns. So we can hide this supply. We can just hide that. So this is what I'm talking about. So it's really customizable. So you can just hide everything. So let's just days on market. Let's have it in there. Median price, performance change. Let's hide that, and then demographics. Let's just see percentage of owner occupier as well. So let's just close that. So now here it is. So we can sort by from highest to lowest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we now have the median price, rent, yield, yield in a two-bedroom, three-bedroom, four-bedroom, annual growth. So more or less, if as everyone knows, if we're aiming for a um, high rental yield, we can expect that the growth isn't that really great.
Mm.
Yeah. So vacancy rate, everything's below 3%. Number of sales. This one I'll talk about that later. And then percentage of owner occupier. Right?
Just
It's
on
just
that last point, the percentage of owner occupiers,
yep.
why would that be of interest to someone?
Yeah, because with that, you don't want to buy into an area where majority are investors.
Mm. And what's a good percentage to look for?
Well, each has their own risk appetite, I'd say. But for me personally, I would say 60 would be a good number. 60%. Yeah.
Mhm, mm. So just in that itself, you can see there's one
Yep.
that's 32, so that you might end up filtering
Yep.
that out. See, so out of
Yep.
your 25, you've already, and then if you've got a few there that you go, oh, actually a few are above 70 already. If you want to filter down your 25 a
Yep.
little bit more, you can narrow it down even further.
Yep. So we can apply that in here.
Mm,
So percentage of renter owner occupier. So at least so we can at least narrow that down. So let's say everything that are 50, 60 and above. Yeah. So now you filtered from 60 and above.
fabulous. And you've got here median rent for a room. So
Yep.
Um,
So
I'm personally very interested in that because I am in the co-living and the rooming house space.
yeah.
Why would this be of interest to investors you're talking about rent per room, not rent per
Mhm.
property.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So the filter, by the way, just going back, the filters that we applied, you can see all the filters that we applied in here, so
Mm,
you won't get lost, right?
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Also, if you know, it's the system might be pretty overwhelming for new investors, so that's
Mm,
why we created the predefined configuration settings here. When you click
fantastic.
strategies, all you have to do is click strategies. So when you click that high yield suburbs, it will load the pre-configured filters that we created to help you get started, right?
This is the dummies guide to can't make it any simpler. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fabulous. Like all of a
yeah,
sudden
and
you've got
then
less than 200 properties instead of
yeah,
15,000.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what you can do now is, so you can see the filter. What you can do now is just adjust your, I'd say your budget,
Okay.
right? So if
Hmm.
you adjust your budget, yeah, let's say 700. Yeah. So say now you edited the pre-configured filter. What you can do now is save that dashboard, right? So let's say Cheryl. Yeah. So next time you log out and log in, let's say I reset that, right? So it goes to default. So what you can do is just go my dashboards and then load the dashboard that you saved, and then that's it. It will load again the one that we created. So you can save as much as 20 customizable dashboards.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so you didn't have to do it again. So the other one that I've implemented as well is let me just reset everything. Is not everyone like like me myself, I don't know all the names of the suburbs, right? But I
Mm,
know, let's say, I want to invest on the coastal areas, right? Right. So what we did here is we use the map. So as you move the map and as you zoom in, you'll notice all the list of suburbs will get filtered, right?
mm.
So let's say, so when I zoom in, right,
Oh, I like this because as you filter
so
in, it
as you
reduces.
so you use the map as the filter, right?
This is cool.
So Melbourne, yeah.
No one wants to go to Melbourne at the moment. I'm just kidding, Melbourne people.
So yeah, and now, so you've done that. What you can do is to, yeah, to apply different filters now. Yeah, or load the high yield suburbs, load, and then use the map to filter the locations. Right, and yeah, and then
That's
everything's
pretty
in there.
cool.
Yep, yep. And then the other one is we're talking the one that you mentioned, right? So you're more into co-living, right?
Hmm.
So there's one strategy here as well, renting out rooms individually. So if you load that, let's close it. So here, as you can see, median price. So the median number of people looking for a room, right? So here on Borley Heads, there are 693 for the month of October, right? So we're talking about the
Wow.
demand metrics, right? For supply, so we have the median number of advertised rooms. So as you can see, huge demand but less supply, right? So rooming house and boarding house data, we're still trying to add that for
Mm,
Queensland, but for New South Wales and Victoria, we have those data already. So in here for Surrey Hills, as you can see, 473 are looking, and only 87 are advertised room for rent, and there are 51 registered boarding houses in Surrey Hills.
mm.
So when you click the map, it will open
And
up
these are
all.
registered, these are the registered
These
boarding
are the
houses. Yeah.
registered boarding houses.
There are lots
So,
that may not be
yep. So,
registered.
so yeah, true, true. So these are the registered boarding houses in New South Wales in Surrey Hills. So so you can see the operators and the addresses of the boarding houses and where are they located in the map.
Mm.
So it's really useful because you can see you can really predict, or not predict, but you can see, what's the supply and what's the demand as well. Right?
We've got a question pop up here. Well, we've got a few actually. So yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. And so that I can see your names, there is a little link for you to just register your name. Otherwise, you come up as Facebook user. Um, a question here is this for residential searches or will it apply to commercial as well?
Well, these are for residential. The only part that's uh, commercial, I'd say, is this one, the number of boarding house and rooming houses. Yep.
Okie dokie. And then the next one we had was, hi, Cheryl and Gilbert. Thank you for the workshop. Do you think that Suburbs Finder is superior to HTAG Analytics and Real Estate Investor? I can see that they are very different. You may be biased, and I haven't
Uh,
done a comparison. Maybe you can give some insights.
I would say. it's really different from each other. Although there would be some features that overlaps, but investor is really more on, I would say, on the property level, whereas Suburbs Finder is, the name itself, it's really more in the suburb, right?
Awesome.
Plus, I don't think there's any tool out there that will provide the rooming house data as well.
Mm,
And yeah, and the other feature that I wasn't able to, that I miss showing, is you can run. I said a while ago you can compare s- suburbs against each other. So you just click uh, any five suburbs that you want to compare, right? So let's just say, for just for demonstration purposes. So here we click. Uh, we want to compare how these five different suburbs, stacks up from each other. So hit compare, and then right away you'll see how they stack up against each other side by side here on the table, right? So median price, rent, growth, vacancy rate, yield, everything. And then it's also important to understand how they perform over the past 2 years, right? So in
mm,
here, like, how did they perform for the last more than 24 months, right? In terms of median price, median rent, rental yield, you know, growth, vacancy rate, days on market, total listings for sale, which is we're talking about the stocks, and then total listings for rent, online listing, market demand. So these are the number of people looking at different property listing sites on their buy sections with the intention to buy, or yeah, on their buy section. Yeah.
mm,
And then we're
mm.
also looking at median number of people looking for a room, because we want to see, like, wow, in Surrey Hills there are really a lot of people looking for a room to rent.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's so interesting. I mean, just looking at the data, you need to be someone who really enjoys um, analyzing and deciphering data.
yeah,
Uh,
because if you're able to see different data and compare them against each other, you'll be able to understand and create a story what's happening within that suburb,
mm,
right? Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
mm.
yeah.
And are there ways that you are, I guess, guiding people to work out what the story? How do we determine the story behind these lines and the data?
Yeah, yeah. So we'll get to that as well, right? So I'll just show the DA approvals as well for
Hmm.
houses. So we're just looking at houses. We can go to units as well, but for this one we go to houses because units has a different data sets as well, right? So
Yeah.
let's say you already compared your five suburbs. You can also deep dive within on a suburb level. So if you want to know more about that suburb, you just have to click the icon beside it, the view suburb profile. So when you
Mm,
click that, you can now it will present you all the data within that suburb, so you can deep dive within that suburb. So here we can see it's more on units. So it tells you the story. You're overlaying the data on online search demand versus the days on market on units, right? So as we can see here, um, online search demand increased, so the people looking at buying, online has increased. How does that correlate with days on market, right?
mm,
As you can see here, days on market were, significantly decreased, and online search demand is still, although it went down a bit, but considering comparing it to, you know, last year, it's still up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in here, how does the stock level or the sale listings correlate with median price? So as we say, if the number of listings or the stocks uh, is not enough to meet, you know, the demand, then, you know, more or less there would be a movement in price.
Mm.
Thus, we can see here there's a movement on median price. And also here, since most of the vacancy rate are on a postcode level data, we're overlaying it with rental listings suburb level data, right? So we can understand more that there's a consistency and correlation between the number of stocks within that suburb and what the versus the vacancy rate within that postcode where that suburb belong to.
Mm.
Yeah. So in here we can see that it's a pretty good because it has a vacancy rate of less than 3%, right? And
I've l-
also, yeah, the
so
room rental demand as well.
so much data,
Yeah, so
and
much
all
that.
done, and all done in such little time. We've got a few comments here. Julie's joined us as well. She says HTAC is not as comprehensive. Suburbs Finder allows you to put in your own criteria. Suburbs Finder allows you to do that and adjust filters. So she's a fan. Um, we've got a question here. How long is the lag on the data?
Oh, the data is updated every month.
Mm,
So usually every first week or second week of the month.
all right. Thanks. And yes, it gives you control. I'm trying to figure out how to use them side by side. We'll definitely get into it. Yes, and definitely have a bit of a play. I think it's a,
Yep.
I'd say quite
And
an addictive tool.
and also one is uh, we've added also schools, right? Oh,
Mm,
also if you wanna buy properties as well, because I remember this was your recommendation before that we should add, you know, the listings as well. So what we did is when you click this icon, view sale listings, you can also
yes.
see all the property that are for sale within that suburb.
Have you? I think you've opened up into um another window. So
Yep.
um another window pops up. Maybe you want to share that tab as well. So
Hang on. Let me just.
so does it go up into realestate.com, or is that natively populated in Suburbs Finder?
It's natively populated in Suburbs Finder. So let me just. Sorry for that. Let me just reshare my screen.
Got lots of good questions here, so feel free to pop them in, and
Yeah, there.
we
So
can
you
share
can see
this.
my screen now. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yep. So yeah. So in here, so you can see all the list of properties that are for sale. So you don't have to go to to domain or real estate anymore. And also what we
Mm,
did here is when you zoom in, you'll see you can see the locations of those properties in the map, all of those
mm,
properties, and you can see how far uh, that particular property, how far
it's
is
from
that from
school.
school, right? And and we've also added how far this property uh, to this daycare facility,
Mm,
right?
mm, yeah. That's so good.
Yeah,
I
and
don't even think,
yeah,
and I
and
can't
as
remember,
you
like
zoom as you
realestate.com.
yeah, as you zoom in, yeah, the list of houses that are for sale gets filtered as well. Yeah,
Yeah, fantastic. And so when you click on those houses, where does that
yeah.
take you to?
It takes
Um,
you to domain for the
okay.
listing of this website. Yep.
Yeah. So we've got another question here. Gilbert, can you comment on the presentation capabilities in terms of extracted shortlisted data searches? So, Jorgen, is that sort of like for a property report of some sort? And let's see when he responds. So, is there any sort of presentation mode at the moment? Say, other software? Yes. So he said yes. So like a property report or a shortlisted property report.
That we're still in the pipeline. Yep.
So it's in the roadmap. So definitely share any sort of questions and comments and suggestions, because the great thing is that Gilbert listens and he does look at the application, and how helpful it will be to the users, which again, I think being able to look at the properties for sale in Suburbs Finder itself, I really like that on the map you can see where the schools are um and the childcares, because I don't think, like, I haven't seen that capability on any of these other search engines. I guess one
Yeah,
can
because
use the data and embed into Canva or PowerPoint. Yeah, possibly you might be able to do a cut and paste
yeah, because
potentially as well.
there are some investors, or if I'm a buyer's agent, that's one selling point, right? Like, this
Mm,
school, this property is close to daycare facilities and close to school, and you'll be able to understand as well why what's the price difference between this property and this property, right? Because the locate they may be on the same suburb, but they're on a different side of suburbs, right?
okay.
Especially if it's on the
Mm.
coastal area, if it's near to the beach, then you'll be paying more premium for it,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm. I think what would be really cool, and this is just a suggestion, is that there's some sort of a measuring tool as well that you can measure from the distance of a property to a specific landmark, like either to the school or whichever.
Yep. That
But this
that
is
that
this is
definite,
really good.
definitely that's a must have, which we'll include in the future for sure.
Yeah, because I really like how that's presented now, um and Gilbert works with quite a few buyers agents. So for the buyers agents that are out here, it's definitely a very helpful tool to be able to find properties, not just for your investors, but like I said, the information's presented there. You can also tell them this is all the analysis of the data that we've been able to pull together. These are the properties. This is how far this property is, um, in the map also, which is very cool. Do you mean a walk score, Cheryl? Not so much a walk. Yeah, maybe like a walk score. Um, but more so just to be able to say, like, it's 2 kilometers from a
Yeah,
school.
sort
Oh,
of like what Google Map has, that you can use the two endpoints to measure
yeah.
the distance between. Yeah.
Yeah, particularly if you're looking for investment property and you're thinking, oh yeah, one of your criteria is that it's within 5 kilometers of
Mhm.
a hospital or something like that. That would be really handy. Awesome. Was there anything else that you want to show us, Gilbert?
Yep. How
Hold on.
come in my videos? Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Great. So yeah. So also, let me just load again. Ah, other one is we've also included, because I remember on one of there are people, well, there are property investors or developers out there who whose strategy is very niche when it so this may be coming useful. So what we did, so we have the number of rooming houses in school.
Mm.
So what we did is we've added also just the number of childcare centers, right? So in there, so you can also see, you know, when you click on the map,
Yeah, that's really handy.
yep, just how come always need to share screen?
So for people who are looking to develop childcares,
Yep.
one
So
of the things to assess is the number of existing childcares and then I guess the population as
yep,
well.
yep. So in here you can see the location of the childcare centers as well, and the operator and the address as well. Yeah, because
Yeah, that's really
there's one in regional that I saw it a year ago. It was for on the market, totally rundown house. Yeah, it was all sold for an option deal, yeah, for 1.2, right? And then after 8 months, went back on market with the DA approved boarding house for 45 places, right?
yeah, right. Boarding
And
house or childcare?
childcare,
Yes.
sorry.
Yep.
And it was sold for auction for 2.3. So
That's pretty good.
and when I did the analysis, the reason why is on that area there's only one childcare center.
Mm. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
So
childcare
yeah.
center people
So
use
that's
this
one
tool.
that's one of the I think one of the how you can leverage this type of information.
And then I guess you'd look at some of the data I saw as well is that population forecast for the next
Yep. The
10
public.
years. So if you
Yep.
can see there's going to be like 20,000 extra people, and then the demographics of those people, are you talking about young families or whatever that might be,
Hmm.
then the demand for childcare is going to increase as well.
True.
I like that. This is so fun.
So
Does anyone else
uh,
think this is so cool? Pop it in the comments. I think Gilbert's done an amazing job pulling all of this together and
and
keeping it and
then
getting us all excited about data.
the other one is, let me just high yield servers. Yep.
Moxon. There we go. Moxon, yes, I know you love the data.
So one thing that I forgot is a while ago we did a where is this? What we did is, yep. So we selected five different suburbs a while ago and compared them against each other, how they stack up, right? So forgot to mention that we can run feasibility as well on those suburbs. So you just click this run feasibility icon
Mm.
or button, right? And you see, okay, now I have to reshare again. How I do in here. So, yeah, there you go. So, because it opens on a new tab. So, I'm just not sure why it's just doing that. So, can you see my screen now, Cheryl?
Yes.
Yeah. So here, so we selected those five suburbs. So automatically, it will auto-populate the feasibility tool that we
Mm.
created with the
Mm.
data. So the median price are populated, right? And then the suburb, state, and the postcode. So vacancy rate is populated as well, capital growth, and the rent as well. So all the gray areas are, those are with formulas already, and non-gray areas that's user editable, right? So
Hmm.
here we just assume that it's 20%. You can always edit that, so say, to whatever, let's say 10%. Right? And the good thing with this is the stamp duty is automatically calculated. So in here, it's automatically calculated for the stamp duty. So if you change the state, the stamp duty will be calculated automatically as well. Right? I'll just put it in new samples. Right? So uh, I just put in the strata by default because we're in houses, right? So let's just zero that. So in here, you can see right away um,
Mm.
the cash flow before tax or pre-tax, right? And you can see as well, what's your cash and cash return per annum.
Very handy.
And what's the forecasted value of the property based on the average annual growth, yeah, which is this one, which you can play around as well, right? So yeah,
Mm. Good stuff.
and I guess last one is there's another one. So I guess there are some people, there's some, I'm sure there are some here that who already owns a property for 5 or 6 or more than 4 properties. So what we have here so we have a lot of different calculators in here. One is the tax depreciation calculator, which we partnered with Mike Mortlock, MCG
Hmm. Oh, good
quantity
stuff.
surveyors. So we partner with them. So we're using their calculate depreciation calculator uh, in here. So you
Nice
can plug
one.
in the depreciation. Yep. And so we have the portfolio analyzer. So what it does is, like say for if you have more than 2 properties, you just plug in the numbers, and in here you'll see the performance of each of your property in terms of cash flow, and it will give you the summary or the performance of your whole portfolio, right?
You're losing money there. Anything in red, it just says red. It's not good because so you're gonna have to tweak that. But
Yeah, yeah.
it is really helpful because often, when you do have, so is it um maximum of five, or how can you just add? You can add
It's a
more properties. So
maximum of 10, because you can just click this
okay,
button and you can add. So here we added one, and then we can just keep on clicking until we
yeah,
can add more. So you have 10 properties now, right?
wonderful. For those who have
Yeah,
more than 10, just pick your favorite 10 and then sell the
yeah,
rest.
yeah. That's it. That's it.
And this is, I mean, there's so much, definitely a lot of effort that's gone into this. I really, really like those tools. Literally, you could spend hours and hours of just analyzing data. But this is the point. I mean, the whole idea was of you putting this together was to allow for people to assess investment properties in a much more data driven way and
Yeah,
make
yeah.
more
Because
informed choices.
Yeah, because just like what I said before, all of us property investors has our own different end goals, right?
Mm,
And all of us have our own different financial status, right?
mm,
So that's why it's important as well, to always run your numbers, not only looking at a suburb level, or you trying to understand the data, but you need to also understand uh, how it will affect your cash flow, and
mm,
will that property be able to help you acquire your first or second or third, right?
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Ab- Absolutely. So apparently Moxon owns all of Melbourne,
Yep.
and 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 Moxon says I own 5 properties. It's about quality, not quantity.
Yep.
We're not
Yep.
having a competition here. but but again, it's I love a good investment tool, which this definitely is. I want to say thank you for taking the time and the effort, and also, connecting yourself with a lot of um, the experts in the field to get their feedback and have them utilize it. I know I respect Julie a lot. Mox obviously utilizes. There are a lot of people that I know utilize the tool and find it really, really helpful. So thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for putting
Thank
that
you. Thank
together.
you.
So more importantly is how can people, so the question is how can I get this software? How can people get hold of this software and start to use it as well?
Yeah, you can just go into the website, or for PDA members, let Cheryl know, and she'll give you the special price for the PDA community.
The VIP price. Excellent.
Yep.
And you have to be part of the PDA community for that. Gilbert will share with us a special code just for PDA. Um, Definitely have a play with it if you're an investor. And you've got videos as well that explain
Yep.
how to
Yep.
use it and so on and so forth. But Gilbert is part of the community. So reach out to him, drop him a PM, and data is the key to sustainable property portfolio. Absolutely. And great work, Gilbert. Lots of work has gone into this, I'm sure. And I don't know how you've been
Thank
able to
you.
do it
Thank you.
with three young girls.
And
So
well,
well
that's
done.
what happened when you go into lockdown.
Yeah, it's a lot of people just got fat and watched too much Netflix. Gilbert went around and made this amazing tool. So 90% offer for PDA community. Oh my goodness, Mox. No,
And
we should
yeah,
do that again.
we have more updates coming in the pipeline. So more data to add. So this is it doesn't stop from here. So we'll keep on adding more, which will be beneficial to to everyone, because that's the aim of the tool, to cut the
Absolutely.
research process down, because for us investors, time is money. Right?
Yeah. Mox says, Gilbert, you are awesome, bro. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So
if
investors,
yeah.
buyers agents as well. Who else would really benefit from using this tool?
Um, I'd say financial planners and mortgage brokers, so that they can help their clients,
Mm,
acquire
narrow down.
property quicker. You know.
Hmm.
And yeah, so if I'm a regular mom and dad, I already know where to invest. But since it's a hot market, so probably I can engage like Moxin, or Julie, or whoever, right? A buyer's agent, to help me acquire the property, because they have the skills in terms
Mm,
of the local presence on the ground, right?
yes.
Because combined data combined with the knowledge, in-ground knowledge, uh, that's a perfect combo.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy
Yeah.
says, thank you. Thanks, Andy, for joining us today. And I believe that is a wrap for the evening. So thank you so much for coming on board again, Gilbert. Like I said, it's fantastic to see the evolution of your, what was, started off with just a little idea, and it's you've created an amazing tool which is hugely beneficial. So I appreciate you being on the business of property, and everyone listening as well. Thank you for joining us. If you want to reach out to Gilbert, please do so. Pop some comments below, drop him a private message as well. And we will end up seeing you again next week on the business of property. So thanks, Gilbert. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right.